Okay, today we are going to be learning a new technique called Additive Color. It's really similar to the Selective Color technique that you guys did a couple weeks ago, but instead of revealing the actual color that was in the image, you're going to get to customize the color by using your paint selections to go in and then add a new color. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is go ahead and select a picture and open it up into Photoshop. So I'm just going to go ahead and choose a photo. And let's see here. I have some of my own photos here. And we'll choose this one. All right, so now that I've got my photo opened up into Photoshop, what I'm going to do from here is just like we've done in the past, is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make a copy of my layer by using the keyboard shortcut Command J. So I made a layer copy. And from here I'm going to go ahead and convert this to black and white, but I'm going to do it a little bit different than I have in the past. Instead of using my black and white adjustment layer, I'm going to come up to Image, and I'm going to go down to Adjustments, and I'm going to go ahead and choose then my black and white adjustment layer. From here, the main thing that I want you to notice is instead of adding a layer over here to my layers palette, I have actually changed that image from the color version to black and white now. But I still have my options to come in here and make adjustments to my image to make sure that I have good contrast going on in my image. And then I'm going to go ahead and also do my levels adjustment, just like I always have in the past, to make sure that I have a true black, a true white, and several gray tones in between. From here, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add a blank layer, which is all the way down at the very bottom of your Photoshop dialog box. And when I click on that, you'll notice in my layers palette over here, I now have my background layer, I have my black and white layer, I have my levels adjustment, and I have my blank layer too. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to select a color now to go ahead and paint. I'm going to pick a color that I'd like to paint. Now, something that you need to know is that the paint is going to get blended in with our gray scale. So areas that have light values are not going to hold as much color as the areas that have darker grays and more of a gray variation. So I'm going to go ahead and choose a color over here from my foreground color picker, and I can just double click on that box, and then I'm going to just come in here and select a color, and let's see, let's go with a nice blue for the young man's shirt. And I'm going to go ahead and choose my paintbrush at this point. Now that I have my brush tool selected, I can go up and I'm going to, just like we did with Selective Color, I'm going to go ahead and adjust the hardness of my brush to about 25%, give or take a little. And then I'm going to come on out here, and I want to make sure that I'm on this blank layer, and I know it's blank because I can see that gray and white checkerboard grid. That's telling me it's like I just laid a clear plastic transparency over my image. So I'm not going to damage anything down below with my paint. But I'm going to come out here, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to begin painting the area that I want to have be blue. All right, so I'm doing a quick job right now. So we'll get all of his shirt painted in. And wow, that looks fantastic, doesn't it? Okay, once I get the paint filled in where I want, the next step is going to be adding a blending mode. So over here on my layers palette, I have this box, this drop-down menu that's defaulted to normal currently. I can click on that, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll all the way down to this bottom blending mode which says color, and when I do that, what's going to happen is it's going to blend the color now in with the grayscale image that I have placed in the background. So at this point, now I've got my image here, and I can see I've gone outside the lines in some places. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my eraser tool over on my toolbar, And it works a lot like the paintbrush. I can adjust the hardness, I can adjust the size, opacity, all that kind of fun stuff. But now I can come in here and I can clean up my edges. And I'm zooming in, again, using Command plus, that keyboard shortcut, to zoom in and really clean up those areas where I don't want that blue paint to show. Okay, so I've gone back in and I've kind of cleaned up that blue edge a little bit. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and color Cece's hair. And I'm going to do that again. I'm going to be adding a new color. So I want to make a new layer. So I'm going to come down to the bottom of my Photoshop window again and click on that new layer button. And it's going to go ahead and give me a new blank layer. And I'm going to come over here and I'm going to pick a new color. Now, Cece's hair is brown, but I'm going to have some fun with it. And one of her favorite colors is pink. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to choose a lovely pink color. I'm going to make sure I have my brush tool selected, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to, on a new layer, notice I have layer 3 selected here, I'm going to go ahead and color her hair in pink. And I'm going to show you, it may seem like a silly step to add that extra layer, but let me just show you why we do that. Once I get her hair kind of colored in, I'm going to go ahead and change my blending mode to color. I'm going to use my Command plus to zoom in, switch to my eraser tool, come in here and start erasing. And what I want to show you is that if I make a new layer for each of the colors that I'm painting in here, if I go outside the lines of the area that I wanted, I can really easily clean it up by just going ahead and choosing my eraser tool and going over the areas that I did not want that pink paint to be. So again, I can scroll in here and really clean up my edges. I'm going to go ahead and add a third color, and I just want to show you what happens if you put multiple colors on the same layer. So say that I get done with the hair and I want to go ahead and add some skin tone to them. And I come in here and notice I haven't changed layers. I'm painting on that pink layer. And I've got my brush tool selected, and I come in here and I start painting. Okay, if I go outside the lines in this area up here where there's no other pink paint, it's not that big of a deal. I can grab my eraser tool and I can come in and clean up those edges. But say that I paint over into an area that's pink and I want to go in and clean it up. When I go to clean it up, it's not just going to erase the yellow, but it's also going to erase the pink. Whereas when I have things on a separate layer, okay, so if I go back and I'm going to step back a couple steps to get rid of that yellow. So if I was to do the same thing, but on a separate layer, so add my yellow and whoops, went in to Cece's face a little bit there. I can grab my eraser tool, and if you notice now when I erase the yellow paint, it doesn't touch that pink paint. Like so. All right, so just like we've done in the past, for this, when I'm finished, I'm just going to go ahead and save it, and I want to make sure when I'm completely done that I'm saving it as a JPEG. Additive Color number 1. I'm going to save that out to my desktop and call it good. So with the Additive Color, you are more than welcome to either do realistic colors, so you can go back and choose colors that would represent whatever it is that you are actually coloring, or you can do fun imaginative color and make it more impressionistic and go in and do some neon colors and such, so think pop art. But that's totally up to you. You have to have at least 3 different colors on 3 separate color layers, and you need to cover about 40% of your images. Have fun with it, and I look forward to seeing your projects.